A man discovered his friend had $1.7 million in his bank account while snooping on his computer. An evil idea popped into the man's head. He decided he would take this money for himself. However, before he could act, his friend Jack suddenly hanged himself the next day. The man was shocked, but after some thought, he chose not to report it to the police. Instead, he quietly found some tape in plastic bags and secretly disposed of Jack's body. The following day, the man opened Jack's computer, ready to withdraw the money, only to realize he didn't know the account password. He tried several times but failed. Left with no choice, he impersonated Jack and called the bank, hoping to reset the password. But the bank required him to answer some security questions, none of which the man knew the answers to. However, through the conversation with the bank, the man obtained a useful piece of information. As long as you have a passport or driver's license, you can reset the password. The man immediately searched online for vendors who could make fake driver's licenses. He replaced the photo on the license with his own, then took out Jack's license to cross-check and confirm there were no issues before placing the order and making payment. Just then, the man received a threatening message from his debt collector, demanding he pay off his gambling debts within 2 days, or else they would harm his mother. The man realized the fake driver's license would take 3 days to arrive, so he pleaded with the debt collector to give him an extra week, promising to pay an additional $25,000. But the debt collector demanded $50,000. The man figured he would soon have $1.7 million in hand anyway, so he agreed. It turns out both the man and Jack were top chefs at a Michelin-starred restaurant. The man had flown in from their hometown to see Jack, partly to avoid his gambling debts, and partly because Jack had invited him to collaborate. Their collaboration involved preparing private dinners for wealthy individuals. That day, when the man returned to the villa, he found that Jack's company's boss and assistant had already arrived.
Jack.
Yeah.
To smoothly get the money in Jack's account, the man had no choice but to pretend to be Jack. Recalling how Jack had made big bucks in just a few short years, he took the opportunity to inquire about the compensation for one dinner and was shocked to learn it was as high as $300,000. Considering it was the final deadline for the debt collector's payment, the man probed whether he could receive an advance on his salary. The boss readily agreed. Upon receiving the money, the man immediately paid off his gambling debts. But little did he know, an abyss awaited him. The boss then asked the man if the ingredients were ready, but the clueless man could only lie and say he hadn't finished selecting them. The boss was puzzled because the company had specifically arranged for Jack to arrive at the villa early to select the ingredients, and the dinner was the following evening. But with no time to investigate, the boss had to take the man to make the selection near a church. She instructed the assistant and the man to have the ingredients ready first thing the next morning. Only after the boss's repeated confirmation did the man dare to believe that their so-called ingredients were actually living people. The man broke out in a cold sweat, wanting to back out.
A bad dish from you and your life will end. Is that clear enough?
But the boss warned him that he had no choice. The man had to reluctantly agree. Early the next morning, the assistant took the man to the church entrance where they targeted a pair of women. The women quickly noticed they were being followed, and in the confusion, the man and assistant lost sight of their targets. At this point, the owner of a repair shop, realizing they were out-of-towners, proactively approached and asked if they needed help. The assistant sized up the shop owner, then turned to look at the man. The man understood and silently nodded.